What happens when a mother becomes the prime suspect in her child's disappearance? In a case that gripped the entire world, Caylee Anthony's trial became a twisted spectacle of lies, deceit, and mystery. How could a 2-year-old girl vanish for over a month without a word from her mother? As we dive into the shocking details of the Caylee Anthony case, we unravel a story filled with unexpected turns, unexplainable behavior, and a verdict that left many feeling that justice was never truly served. This case asks the question: when the truth is buried beneath a web of lies, can it ever be fully uncovered? It all began with a phone call. On July 15, 2008, Caylee Anthony's mother, Cindy Anthony, made a frantic 911 call reporting that her 2-year-old granddaughter, Caylee Anthony, had been missing for 31 days. Cindy was frantic, expressing to the dispatcher that it smelled like there's been a dead body in the damn car. As Cindy spoke, a chilling realization dawned upon the world. A young girl had disappeared, and her mother, Caylee, had not reported it for over a month. How could a mother remain silent about her daughter's disappearance for so long? And what exactly had happened during those critical 31 days? According to Caylee Anthony, Caylee had been with a babysitter named Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez, who had supposedly kidnapped her. However, as investigators would soon discover, there was no such person. From that moment forward, Caylee's story unraveled in dramatic fashion, sparking one of the most publicized investigations in modern history. The AS law enforcement began to piece together Caylee Anthony's timeline. They were confronted with a troubling series of lies and inconsistencies. Caylee had told friends and family that she was working at Universal Studios, but it was quickly revealed that she had not worked there in years. When detectives took her to the studio to confront her about the false claim, Caylee even walked through the halls, pretending to know people, until finally admitting she hadn't worked there in a long time. Perhaps the most baffling aspect of the case was Caylee's behavior in the weeks after Caylee went missing. Instead of searching for her daughter, Caylee was seen partying, drinking, and shopping. She even got a tattoo during this time that read Bella Vita, meaning beautiful life in Italian. How could someone act so carefree while their child was missing? The lies didn't stop there. Caylee claimed that Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez had been Caylee's babysitter for over 2 years, but after investigating, detectives found no record of this woman. The web of deceit grew deeper as Caylee's actions and falsehoods came to light, casting doubt on every word she said. That on December 11, 2008, a tragic discovery was made. Caylee Anthony's skeletal remains were found in a wooded area near the Anthony family home, just blocks away. Her small body was found wrapped in a blanket inside a laundry bag, with duct tape over her mouth. Though the cause of death was ruled as undetermined due to the state of decomposition, the discovery of Caylee's remains was a turning point in the case. The media frenzy intensified as the world waited for answers, but the more investigators dug, the more questions they uncovered. The prosecution argued that Caylee had used chloroform to render her daughter unconscious, and then suffocated her with the duct tape. Evidence of high levels of chloroform was found in Caylee's car, along with the smell of human decomposition that Cindy Anthony had mentioned in the 911 call. However, no definitive cause of death could be established from Caylee's remains, making the case more complicated than ever. The trial began in May 2011, and it instantly became a media spectacle. People all over the world tuned in to watch what would later be called the trial of the century. The prosecution painted Caylee Anthony as a selfish, manipulative woman who murdered her daughter to live a carefree, party-filled life without the burden of being a mother. They presented evidence of Caylee's reckless behavior, including her nights out at clubs and her new tattoo, which seemed disturbingly out of place given the circumstances. They also pointed to her repeated lies to the police as evidence that she was hiding something. On the other side, Caylee's defense team, led by Jose Baez, took a radically different approach. Baez argued that Caylee had accidentally drowned in the family pool on June 16, 2008, and that Caylee and her father, George Anthony, panicked and staged the cover-up. In a shocking twist, Baez even accused George Anthony of sexually abusing Caylee as a child, suggesting that these past traumas explained her bizarre behavior and emotional numbness. The defense's arguments stirred controversy, as George Anthony vehemently denied any involvement or abuse. No physical evidence was ever presented to support Baez's claims. However, the defense strategy played on the idea that the prosecution had no direct evidence linking Casey to Caylee's death. There were no fingerprints, no DNA, and no conclusive cause of death. After 6 weeks of testimony and more than 90 witnesses, the case went to the jury. On July 5, 2011, the verdict came in. Caylee Anthony was acquitted of all major charges, including first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter. She was, however, found guilty of 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement. The reaction was swift and fierce. The public, which had largely followed the case and believed in Casey's guilt, was outraged by the acquittal. Many felt that justice had not been served, and that Caylee had somehow managed to evade accountability for her daughter's death. Despite being acquitted, Caylee Anthony remained one of the most reviled figures in the court of public opinion. Some saw her as a victim of a flawed investigation and media bias, while others believed she was responsible for her daughter's tragic fate and had gotten away with murder following her release. Caylee Anthony largely disappeared from the public eye. In 2017, she gave a rare interview to the Associated Press, stating that she still didn't know what had happened to Caylee and that she had come to terms with herself, regardless of what others thought of her. Casey's relationship with her parents remained strained, particularly with her father, George, who she accused of being complicit in the cover-up of Caylee's death. Despite her acquittal, Caylee Anthony's life continues to be a topic of fascination, with countless books, documentaries, and theories circulating about what really happened to Caylee. The Caylee Anthony case will likely remain one of the most controversial and heavily debated true crime cases in history. Whether you believe Caylee is innocent or guilty, one thing is clear. This case revealed the dark side of family secrets, the power of deception, and the complex nature of seeking justice in a world where the truth can be elusive. Even now, years later, people are still asking, what really happened to Caylee Anthony?